Jessica Alstrom, spiritual teacher, medical intuitive, and quantum integration specialist, answers your spiritual questions and assists you through understanding your personal process while providing tools and techniques to move swiftly through the journey back to light.
Hello and welcome to the Transcendence Podcast. This is your host, Jessica Alstrom, and today I am doing a podcast about the Great Shift. And this podcast comes on the kind of coattails of Second Sunday that will be not this weekend, but next weekend, where I have a very large announcement. I've even been summoned to do a live healing broadcast through the live Facebook feed and social media feeds and webcams and live audience, and so it'll be my first ever group healing that I will be doing for this particular time in history. And I kind of want to get into that a little bit about, what's coming. If you've been following Second Sundays, I've been kind of getting you guys ready as a cheerleader for, what's coming, what's happening, what you're going through, kind of just confirming some things for you guys and letting you know, where to put your focus on for that next month. And the truth of it is it's all about focus. And this podcast is kind of a question and answer series. I've been getting a bunch of your emails, and it's funny how all of your emails say different things, but they're all the same question. And so I think it's just very synchronistic and divine that I could kind of do a podcast about where we're heading, with you guys having the exact questions about how to deal with the changes. And if you've been following my podcast, I've been talking about letting go of the past and healing the inner child, and moving away from toxic relationships and loving yourself and healing your broken hearts and really understanding how manifestation and law of attraction actually work versus what the fairy tales teach in the New Age books. And the reason why I've been doing this is because of this great shift. And basically what I'm doing in a very subtle way with you guys, and it's happening in my life too, is that we are letting go of who we used to be in order to become who we were born to be. And if we don't let go of those stories and those memories and those emotions stored at a cellular level and those commitments and obligations that we are doing to conform and be a part of a system that doesn't really understand us, then what happens is, as the shift really begins to unfold and the new evolution begins to percolate on the planet, it will feel very, very rough for you if you're holding on. It's like a trapeze. In order for you to have that experience of having a trapeze, at some point you have to let go and you have to launch forward and grab that next part of the trapeze. And it's all about letting go of the fear of the past. And what I mean about the shift is that, if you've listened to any teacher out there, they're all talking about the age of awakening, the age of enlightenment, the golden age, the light age. We've had all of the other ages out there, and we are just evolving as a species, and we are moving back into unconditional love as a culture, as a community, as a planet. And for a really long time on the planet, it's been dark, and it's been about power, and it's been about control, and it's about separation, and it's about the game. It's all about the matrix and being part of slavery, yet not knowing that you're part of slavery. And reason why I did the podcast right before this one, how to basically how to let go of the matrix, how to unplug from the matrix. This one is the follow-up to that, because the thing is when you realize that you've been playing for a team that's been opposing you the whole time, it's like having that best friend in high school that stabs you in the back. That's pretty much what your life feels like if you're holding on to the past. And why I've been kind of giving you guys these tools and doing all these podcasts and pushing all this information down your throats is not because I am trying to build a business. It is because I want you guys to know that you're not alone and that we are all in this together. And if you resonate with anything that I'm talking about, then this is your journey and your mission as well. Half of the people I've Skyped with over the last 2 weeks who have found me on YouTube and popped up on my Skype, I'm looking at the face of the future spiritual teachers. I'm looking at the new light coaches. I'm looking at the healers. I'm looking at the empaths, and I'm looking at my team. And it's been so amazing being able to connect with all of you guys and seeing you face to face and hearing your stories and really being a part of your journey. And that's been really awesome. And the reason why I'm doing this is because at this time and space, I've talked about this every single month in Second Sundays, is July represents the great shift. And the shift of, it's like it's time to get off of the train that you've been on and get on the new 5D train. And so you've been able to kind of like jump tracks for a long time, go back and forth between 3 and 5D. When you're ecstasy and joy and excitement, you're living your true potential, that's really you. And when you're worried and, feeling judged and jealous and feeling weak and small and depressed, that's the lower version of you. And so you've been kind of going back and forth on these train tracks. And you've been able to do that because the energy on the planet was allowing you to kind of go back and forth to basically have closure. Everything that's been going on in your life right now represents closure. You're reattracting these relationships or these situations, not because you're reattracting everything, but it's because the soul is giving you closure so that you can see how different you are in the situations that used to bring you down to your knees. That's not happening to us anymore. We're being able to handle our situations with more awareness and more consciousness, and we have a greater understanding of who we are. So when we attract things that we've attracted 100 times, or these situations that keep coming back, or that old boyfriend, or that old job, or that old opportunity, or that old illness comes back, it is just about you looking at it and finally making your peace and having closure with it, so that you can see that you deserve more, that you deserve better, that you settled, that you have settled in the past, and that's not something that you want to do anymore. And it isn't from a blame game situation. It is from a situation where you could like really look at the face of something from the past and with all the love in your heart, lovingly let it go. Because you are one energy source. And so if your cup is all the way full, there's no room for new. There's no room for who you really are in there. It's just a bunch of mixed, mangled expressions, agreements, judgments, and memories that make up who you've been. And where you're going, none of that will serve you. None of that will serve you. None of your stories are going to serve you in the future. None of your emotional triggers are going to serve you where you're going. And you are going. It's like that wonderful quote that says, let go or be dragged. But as these train tracks start to separate, which means for a really long time, 3, 4, 5D, these train tracks, imagine that they're all different dimensions and they're running and they're really close together, and you can really jump tracks easily. You can go play in 3D, you can go play in 4D, you can go play in 5D. And what's happening is, if you imagine that all of a sudden, come July, the spaces between these train tracks are starting to get really large, which means that when you jump back to 3D, it's like a lot of work. Or when you jump into 5D, it feels like, whew, that was out of breath. And so it's not as easy to jump back and forth. And at some point, the tracks are going to get so far apart that you are going to have to choose. And this is not supposed to scare you, because I'm going to show you how brilliant and beautiful and magical the soul is by this process. This does not mean that you have to leave all your loved ones behind and go, be with all the New Age community. That is not what this means at all. What this means is that all you're doing is you're choosing joy. You're choosing love. You're choosing peace. You're choosing harmony. You're choosing the opposite of conflict and the opposite of survival. You're choosing ecstasy and passion and purpose and service. And by doing that, it starts to really flow. Now, if you're in relationships with someone who is not choosing this, okay, yet you feel like you might hold yourself back for someone, you can always intend to create a parallel version of them that comes with you. Now, I hope this is not off of your consciousness studies, because parallel realities is something that I would really like to start teaching about because it's really awesome. But the thing is what I decided is that I'm not staying in 3D. I'm really literally getting ready to fully unplug come July. And I've set up my life in order to be able to do that. And I've decided that anyone that I love unconditionally, I would love for them to come to. Now, that doesn't have to be their choice. I am such a good imaginer, and I am such a good creator, like everyone out there, that I could imagine the best version of someone that I loved. And I could imagine that they come with me. And because this is my reality, and because this is my hallucination, and because this is my dream, then what I will do is I will actually create a version of them that will come with me. So I don't have to hold myself back. And if I can create beings and people that are the reflection of their other selves, then they can have the choice in that because they have free will, and a part of them can go back to 3D and play out that game until they learn their lessons and they awaken. But you will get the best version of them. And if they are not in your highest excitement, your highest joy, or your soul plan, then, you know, like some of your friends over the last couple of years, they've just kind of faded away into the black, and that will happen too. But don't feel like you can't go and be in complete joy and harmony and unconditional love because you're afraid to leave your family behind, or you're afraid to leave your loved ones behind, because you will bring the versions of them with you that are in resonance with all of that energy that's coming. And I had a great question online the other day from a gal who said, you know I'm supposed to be doing my childhood work, and I'm supposed to be doing my vulnerable work and healing my broken heart, but my child doesn't want to heal because the world is not safe. And why would I want to build myself all the way up and be vulnerable to a world that's full of pain? And I want to acknowledge that email first, and I also want to give you the real understanding of how the planet works. So just like you're being able to shift into a 5-dimensional state of being in your physical body, with your physical expression, with your level of consciousness, then Mother Earth is going to do the same thing. So what you're doing is you're healing your broken heart and being vulnerable to a world that you can be vulnerable in. Because the Earth is splitting two. The Earth is literally splitting into 2 planets, or as many planets as you can imagine if you understand parallel realities. But let's just keep it simple for a 4th grade learning here and look at it as there's 2 train tracks right now, and one is 3D and one is 4 and 5D that leads to 6D. And the planet is now doing the same thing. One version of Earth is going towards 3D and one version of Earth is going towards 5D. And when you're going towards 5D in your consciousness, which means I'm unconditionally loving myself and others, that's a 5D perspective. When I am in totally acceptance of myself, when I honor myself, both dark and light, when I love myself and the planet, and I let go of fear and judgment, and I let go of fear of obligations, and I let go of all of my worries and stresses and guilt and shames, then I naturally go with the flow of higher evolution. And there is a planet that is waiting for me on those train tracks. There is a planet that does not contain war. There is a planet that does not contain pain and, bad food and unclean water and the ego mentality, because the ego itself is a 3rd-dimensional construct. So as you leave 3D, and I've talked about this in my podcast, Death of the Ego, as you leave 3D, you no longer have that 3rd-dimensional ego. All you have is the realness of who you are. And Mother Earth moves into a 5D perspective where she's not a vibrational match to any war or pain herself. So as she evolves, we evolve right with her because we are the micro of her macro. Just like the micro and the macro of the universe. The atoms in your body are the same as the stardust. And there is no difference, there's no separation except what we can focus and experience through, our limited focus here. And I know that this is kind of hard to explain without, a cartoon expression behind it. But I'm hoping that you're following me because I don't want you to be afraid to do all of this work and then be stuck on a planet that makes you feel even more isolated because now you're pure. You will be upgrading because thing is like attracts like. If you evolve into a 5-dimensional, loving, unconditional species, there is a planet waiting for you. And here's my question, is if you're still acknowledging all the pain on the planet and focused on the war and focused on how horrible people are, then what train track are you on? Where are you headed? Because I will tell you, one is moving back towards suffering and one is moving back towards love and thriving. And all you have to do is let your heart lead and set your head, because your head is going to take you logic. Your head is going to take you to the direction of your responsibilities, your obligations, your blood contacts, your agreements. And your heart is going to take you back to nature, back to oneness, back to unity, back to unconditional love, peace, harmony, and joy. And so the thing is your job is to do all of this work, because the thing is when you do your work and you really accept yourself and you let go of your stories and the past and you let go of all of this burden you've been carrying for so long, then you're going to end up on a planet that looks like utopia, that looks like peace, where communities can actually thrive because it's not a power struggle. There's not an ego struggle. There is no jealousy and pain. There is no hurt. There is no cruelty. There's no abuse. So you're safe to heal your heart. And the reason is if you don't heal your heart, you're going to be a vibrational match to 3D. If you don't heal your wounding, you're going to be stuck in the matrix, because the matrix keeps you afraid that you can't do it by yourself. And as soon as you heal yourself, you see and feel how unlimited you are. You're bigger than 10 suns. You're bigger than anything that could hurt you. You're bigger than the illusion. And if this is just a dream anyways, and this is just a game, what do you really have to lose? I really started building community after a really long time of being utterly alone and feeling like I had nobody. And you've heard me talk a lot about tribes lately. And don't feel bad if you don't have yours yet, because I had to do a ton of work on myself in order to attract my tribe. And the reason why was because I was in resistance of love. I was in resistance of people loving me, because in the past, every time someone said they loved me, they turned around and stabbed me in the back. And so I was keeping people away from me unconsciously, yet I was sending the conscious call of, where's my people, where's my tribe, where's my community? And so as I started doing a lot of work on myself, I realized that I was keeping love away from me because I was afraid of it. And so I hope you listen to my other podcast, because this one's not going to be terribly long today, about how to unplug from the matrix, and this particular podcast will make a lot more sense, because this is about what I'm going to be doing my progressive healing on for Second Sundays coming up for June. Because whether you like it or not, the world is either going to get a lot scarier or it's going to get a lot safer, and it's all a state of the mind. It's all about your mindset. Are you focused on what's going right on the planet, or are you focused on what's going wrong? Are you focused on all the solutions that these amazing kids and people are coming up with to help project us into that 5D planet? Or are you focused on all the people who are still tearing it down? The thing is you can't protest for peace. You have to have peace for peace. You can't force love. You have to love for love. Everything is about vibration and frequency, and where you're focused is the reality that you will be living in. And at some point, there's going to become a fork in your road, and you're going to be standing in that fork, And you're going to have the choice. Do I want to suffer for a couple more thousand years, or do I want to let go into the unknown, give up all fear and judgment, be loved, and do my work to allow myself to really move into that state of allowance? Because the thing is it's not about like us actually physically getting on a train and driving to a new planet. It's about the one that's been waiting in front of your face your whole life, that you just had to accept in. And if you read any of Dolores Cannon's work, she talks about the waves of volunteers, and she talks about the planet splitting. And so she's a really great author to read about these stories, as far as a lot more intricate studies on the different species that are on the planets and the wonderful things that are going on. And I'm just giving you kind of the 4th grade synopsis of everything, and hopefully it's making sense. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because it's almost like I have this sense of urgency. I'm woken up in the middle of the night going, okay, how can I get more people to see how wonderful they are? You know, how can I can't help people wake up, but once they're waking up, man, I can sure help them. And who else can do that? And how many people can I train over the next 2 months? And how many intentional communities can I start? And, you know, what can I do in order to facilitate this new place to be full of people waiting for you? It's like they say heaven is like when you show up, it's all your loved ones, your ascended masters, your family, your angels. Well, that's pretty much what it's going to look like when we let go of the old paradigm and we really go with who we are inside, not who we should be. You will be divinely supported. You will be divinely abundant. Money will not be an issue. And it won't be like one day you wake up and you're on a new planet with new people. Your brain will not be able to handle that. And for a while longer, we will have these physical bodies. So it will feel like really subtle organic changes that feel like very logical, which means that you won't one day wake up with a brand new life. Every moment by moment by moment will seem very extremely logical, but you'll see how the choices that you made really changed your quantum focus into a completely different life. It's almost like you could live a life every day for a year and not really feel like it changed at all, but then when you look back over that year, it feels like everything is different. That's the way this will all feel, because your body couldn't handle such an advanced change. You will just notice that your life is more peaceful. You will just notice that your body feels safer. You will just notice the people around you are not so judgmental, and they actually love you and they care about what you have to say, and the people that you help are very grateful, and things just come easy to you. And after a whole lifetime of just walking through the mud, all of a sudden you feel like you're floating, and it will be organic. It won't be like, oh my gosh, I'm like totally different person today. Yet you'll look back and go, I'm a totally different person today. And so what I'm urging you to do is, this is kind of like a preface to the second Sunday that's coming, is for you to really decide, you know, are you going to be the version of you that everyone expects, the version of you that's lived this life, or are you going to become and align and start vibrating as that person who you've always been inside? And if you need help with that, reach out, because we've got plenty of people here that can, you know, in 2 minutes remind you of who you are. And that's all you need sometimes, is you need confirmation. You need alignment. You need people who understand what you're going through. And that's what this new community world is all about, because we crave community because we're all one. We just don't like people who, you know, are playing out their ego constructs. It's like most people that I know love people and hate people. And I became one of those persons too. It's like I loved helping people, but then it was like I just loathed going out in public and having to hear all of the stories. And now I'm just realizing that even if I'm focused on those stories, I'm not focused on where I'm going. There's nothing wrong with our planet that we create through manifestation of oneness. There's everything wrong with the 3D planet, and that is the karma that everyone who chooses those realities will have to shift into and play out, because everyone is here to learn. Some people repeat kindergarten, some people repeat high school. That's okay. That's their choice. But if you're listening to me, then you've already been doing your work. You've already been having your conscious awareness journey in full force, and all I am for you is a mirror and confirmation. You are the spiritual teacher, or you couldn't even hear my voice. You can't hear something that you're not a vibrational match to. So I guess this is my expression of calling you out and saying it's safe for you to let go. It's safe for you to be you. It's safe for you to have everything you've ever wanted. The rug will not be pulled out from under you. You know, you will not get your heart broken as soon as you really, 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 really let yourself be who you came to be. You are unbreakable. You are just light. You are information. You are love. Nothing can break that. You know, it's kind of like, how many times have you broke up with someone and 2 weeks passed and you can't remember any bad thing about them? All you can remember is about all the things you love about them. You know, it's because the one thing that's constant is the universe. The only thing that actually exists in the universe is love. And you will have it full circle, and you will not leave anyone behind. But your job is to choose you. Your job is to love you. Your job is to heal you. Your job is to be who you came for. Your job is to be your own hero that rescues yourself from the old stories and memories. And I will leave you with that today and invite you all to come to the live channeling of Second Sunday, which will be on the second Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Time, live through Facebook. Please friend me on Facebook if you're a follower, either my professional page or my personal page. You're all family to me. Email me if you're interested in any of our workshops. If you're interested in any of our brain tap systems, please reach out to transcendencekc.com. Ask for Susie. Call our office. Susie will talk your ear off. We love to hear from you. And just embrace the change, let go, and know that everything that's happening in your life right now is just about closure. It's about you taking your power back and you saying yes to you and not self-abusing and keep saying yes to things that you don't want in your life, and really opening yourself up to abundance and love and doing your inner work and investing in yourself and choosing you and loving you and focusing on you, because when you are full of love, then you have a lot of love to give. That's not selfish. All right, so I've rambled enough, and I will leave you with that, and I hope to see you all on Second Sundays. Love and light.